have like the issue with the tariffs. And then you get Ukraine asking for donations again.
It's what is it called in the church? Passing the collection plate, you know. Anyway,
he's saying 0.25% of GDP for all country. He's hoping. Now,
you know, but this is the thing. It's just this is why everyone's sick and tired and fed up, because it's just continuous. Like
but look
housing
what
prices.
This
Housing
Reuters
prices
article also says. It says that they had already secured $43 billion this year.
Why do you need more?
It's like
it's never ending. Like and like
I think maybe he's hoping that the war is going to continue, so he'll never get.
This
like,
is big
out
business,
of office.
dude. This is big business, and I'm sorry, I've got to speak frankly here, but this is the problem. Like you just brought up, housing prices, people can't afford a bloody loaf of bread, probably
heating, air conditioner,
heating and everything. And we just continuously have to. All we hear about is money being funneled for this militarization, weaponization, and it's like
everything in the Middle East, like increasing the price of oil, likely, and it's like
that's going, and the average Joe, average Jill, average person is getting screwed over constantly. Oh, my money is going to go help. Okay, great. Meanwhile, I'm screwed. Like, what the hell? But this is why nobody cares anymore about these things. They're done. They're fed up. And then the other situations where you actually see people who are in worse situations because they literally are starving, or they're being completely like screwed over too in terms of their land and houses. Our governments aren't doing enough either about that, because they're just like, okay, whatever. It's maddening. This is also maddening because more than half of the Ukrainian population want an end to this. Nobody asked for this. Nobody wants it. And the problem is they just continue to posture this and they continue to promote it, and it's just redundant. It's just tiresome. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of seeing this constantly.
Yeah, it's tiring.
Anyway, let's listen to this. Let's go.
It's just really tiring. Let's check this out. So this is Zelensky calling for NATO allies to invest in production.
And the president of the European Commission to come to the stage.
Of course. Oh yeah. Of course, Ursula von der Leyen.
Oh, nice kiss over there. Okay. Yikes.
That's Rutte.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Rutte. We'll talk about him later.
And there is no significant Russian weapon today that is produced without components, without equipment or materials from other countries. Sadly, including some from Europe and NATO. Yes, of course. And this must stop. Such components can be found in every Russian missile, in most of their drones, and in military vehicles. And it's not just China. Also, Taiwan, and some of these parts come from the European countries and from the United States. And every single component or machine tool delivered to Russia's defense sector helps prolong the war and is a crime against peace. Please, let's make sure that our defense potential and the potential of our partners works for our peace.
Wait, hold on. So he's basically just saying, don't invest there, invest here. It's the same thing. It's business, buddy. It's business.
All business.
That's how it works.
Like the governments, the companies that manufacture the weapons. It's all about that.
This is just posturing again. He's basically saying, like, oh, all these countries that invest, but first of all, they don't invest. They just have deals. Every country has deals. And that's the irony. Even America, they do trade deals like with Russia, ironically enough, because they're supposed to be the evil bad guy, right? But they're still doing deals with Russia. They're doing deals with other countries too that they're not supposed to be doing. Everyone's doing deals, and it's all about weapons and whatever.
Yes.
So it makes no difference at the end of the day. So I don't know what he's trying to make a point about that. It's just like he's just saying basically, I want more money, so invest in me. Say, oh, okay.
He was also mentioning
to stop the war.
Taiwan. Like he was reading the script, but like, does he know what he's talking about?
Well, I mean, Taiwan does, because Taiwan produces a lot of chips.
They do the chips, right? Yeah.
And so right now for drone
Microchips.
technology and everything, it probably is being used to some capacity in that.
Okay.
Because he's talking about, that's the thing. You see, you have to unpack exactly what he's saying. You don't have exactly like one thing that is actually investing. He's saying investing. It's not like the country is investing. It's that there's contract deals, right, between different companies that produce the certain things. Just like how we get chips from maybe China, you know, for our computers, but those could be also used for drones, you know. So we're supposed to be, you know, China and like the United States, for instance, they're considered to not really be, you know, on the same side, right? But it doesn't matter. That's what I'm trying to say. This is just nonsense. It's just posturing again.
Yeah.
And then it's all bloviating in the name of defense. But let's be honest, defense is just the double word of, you know, attack. It's just offensive. It's just, again, it's more, you know, oh, to end the war and instead invest in defense. Well, guess what? You don't end the war by investing in defense. You end the war with diplomacy. You end the war by stopping killing, by just coming to terms and negotiating. That's how you end the war, not defense. Anyway, but that was my rant today. Oh, well, we have an interesting video here. Yeah, so Viktor Orban
of Hungary, right?
Yeah, he's the leader of Hungary.
So there's an issue about like Ukraine wanting to be part of the EU.
I predicted this, actually. I predicted this after the whole NATO.
Well, no shit. Did you see how he was kissing like Ursula?
I mean, they're considering Georgia as well. You know, Georgia's on the list too. And this is, again, another thing where it just gets all sort of like, at this point, it just gets completely wacky, because it's like, okay, you know, I get it. This is the bigger European project, but it's like, to what point is it really like where you're going to be like, when enough is enough? Like, where are we going to go to? Like, are we going to include also like what, Morocco? We're going to include, I mean, to be honest, it would probably make more sense to include Morocco at this point than Georgia.
It's like Eurovision, like including Israel.
Yeah, it's exactly Eurovision. The Eurovision Song Contest is exactly, that's the future.
Okay, so basically, Hungary pays 1 million euros daily for EU fines for blocking migrants at its borders.
Right. This has been since the whole refugee crisis. They've been like, Hungary has been one of the major countries since the refugee crisis began, right? That they just were very, very upfront by, okay, no, we're blocking. They built they had a whole fence. They have a whole, you know, thing. This is even before other countries started kind of following, like Poland, etc. They were the first, right? And they even I mean, in their, so again, just reporting on what they stated, and this was again during Orban was still in power, even since then, right? And their whole stance was just that, you know, they were the vanguard of keeping these people out. You know, they were like the safety net, right? Keeping them out, helping Europe. That was their premise, right? Or Orban's premise, right? So, but because they did this, the EU penalized them. Because obviously there was an asylum lobby, right? The policy that was agreed upon, and Orban rejected it. So they were hit with sanctions, and they've been paying for it just because they're an EU member. It's kind of a crazy thing. But there were other countries who criticized this by saying, like, well, how can you determine what another country decides for itself in terms of its national defense, regardless what you think about it, right? If you think they're being, you know, so it's kind of wild that they've been paying this money. I don't know. And again, this comes up to the point of, like, you know, why people are critical of the EU, unfortunately, because it's like, well, to what degree do our people and our national leaders determine what is for our interest of the people, right? And also they have a right for their self-defense. So this is the scary thing, you know. It's like, oh, so a lot the Brussels lobby gets to determine, you know, that's wrong and that's right. On whose standard? You're not Hungarian, right? Like, if the Hungarian people voted for this guy. And then, of course, comes the whole thing, which, because people then say, obviously, oh, but Orban is an authoritarian and this and that. And it's like, well, you know, it always seems to be the case that if it doesn't comply with your interests, then all of a sudden that person's the bad guy, right? And again, I'm not saying I'm taking the side of Viktor Orban or anything. I'm just saying, but it does seem to be a pattern here that, oh, if they don't agree with us, they're obviously the bad guy, so they must be evil. They must be the bad person, you know? Regardless if they could be. I'm not saying that, but it's just, you know. Anyway,
I also want to point out that Ukraine always wants to like join NATO, and part of this Ukraine-Russia conflict was due to Ukraine wanting to be part of NATO, NATO being like next to Russia.
Yeah, it was also the overreach of NATO because it's too close to the Russian borders. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, there's a fine line between NATO and Europe, and that's including America. I'm just saying.
At this point, it's very hard to distinguish what is NATO anymore and what is EU, because it just seems like they're converging. It seems like
Trump was thinking of like leaving NATO, and well, that would just leave the EU being NATO.
Pretty much. I mean, there would be still some other. I mean, there's Turkey, by the way, who are not allowed to be part of the EU.
I know.
Yeah, as well. So Turkey, which has a significant.
But they want to be part of the EU.
They did, but I think they've given up. They don't care anymore. Okay.